Please pray with me. Spirit and wisdom of new life, minister to us, your people. The only truth be spoken, the only truth be heard, we ask. Amen. I don't know whether you heard the story about the 3 university students who shared a ride home for Easter break. Unfortunately, they got in an accident and they died. Arriving at the gates of heaven, they were met by St. Peter, who informed them that they would be asked a question, and if they had the right answer, they'd all be led to the pearly gates. What's the question, the students asked? The question is, what is Easter? Asked St. Peter. Oh, that's an easy one, the first student said. That's when everybody gathers together and there's a big turkey dinner to give thanks for the harvest and all the blessings of life. St. Peter just shook his head. No, said the second student. Easter's when everybody dresses up in costumes and goes door to door and gets candies and apples from people. Peter started scratching his head at this point, but his eyes lighted up when the third student began to speak. You're both wrong, she said. Easter's the festival that remembers the time Jesus was crucified on the cross. He died and was buried in the tomb with a big stone over the entrance. Yes, said St. Peter encouragingly. Go on. If you get this right, I'll let all 3 of you come in. Well, said the student, on the 3rd day the stone was rolled back and Jesus came out of the tomb, and people looked to see if he had a shell, so they know when the spring is coming early. That's my favorite Easter story. All joking aside, Easter can be difficult for many of us to get our heads around. Unless we especially enjoyed English literature and understood that myths are not falsehoods, but great stories that talk about universal truths without depending on facts. Chances are that we grew up thinking that Easter required us to believe that Jesus' corpse was brought back to life, when that's not what the stories say. Not that I mind or care if you believe that. For 1,000 years, the church wanted us to think that it was all about us getting saved so we could go to heaven. They wanted us to obsess about that rather than focusing on what God and Jesus really care about, how we treat each other and how we treat this world around us. So we were told that if we believed that Jesus physically rose from the dead before going to heaven, that we'd get to heaven too. Never mind that all the resurrection stories are ambiguous about Jesus' body. Have you ever noticed, it doesn't matter what story it is, when the people see Jesus after he's risen, they don't recognize him. So it can't be about his body coming back to life, because even though he looked worse for wear, they'd at least know who he was. No, they discover the presence of Jesus with them, and they call it the risen Christ. Paul is the earliest writer we have in the New Testament, and he makes it clear that the resurrection is not physical but spiritual. He writes this: what is sown in death is perishable. What is raised is imperishable. We die in weakness but are raised in power. In death we sow the seed of our physical body, which is raised a spiritual one. For the physical must be born first, and then the spiritual. Therefore, just as we have borne the image of dust, so we will also bear the image of heaven. What I'm saying, Paul writes, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's pretty clear. We're talking about spiritual realities, energy, not matter. So clear, in fact, that no artist ever tried to paint or draw Jesus' body being resurrected until after the 800s. What the stories tell us is that what happened to Jesus has been happening since the birth of the universe 13 billion years ago. What happened to Jesus is what keeps this world evolving and redeeming itself and moving forward. Easter adds age-old questions. Is it worth doing the right thing? Does goodness overcome evil? Is there hope for the world? Is there hope for me? And is death the end? The community who knew Jesus, like us at times, had reasons to feel that the answers to these questions were no. Jesus believed that love could conquer all, that life could be better, that nonviolent protest could overcome military might of an empire, seemed to be proven wrong as he hung there on the cross. Even though they tried, they couldn't, however, walk away from this Jesus reality and his mission. The Spirit that was in Jesus, the living Christ, moved among them and brought them together and opened their hearts to one another in deeper friendship and love than they'd ever known before. And in that vulnerability, they realized that the living Christ was with them. They felt that power. They felt that their friendship was growing stronger. They felt their fears going away. They began to see that it was love, and only love that mattered in the end. That only love and fairness and respect could bring inner peace as well as outer peace in society. The life, death, and continuing presence of the living Christ opened their eyes to see that love and life is the essence of God. It's the operating system, the software of the universe. Like Terry Fox, so much more was accomplished after Jesus' death than during his death. That's what love does, and it's still doing it today. Some people say life is just random chance. Some people say the universe is indifferent, meaning we're on our own and have no hope of any cosmic help. Yes, there is random chance. Nothing is more random than the explosion of energy from a cosmic black hole 13 billion years ago. But chaotic energy mysteriously began to form itself at the perfect temperature and in the perfect ways required to shape itself into galaxies and solar systems and planet Earth and life on Earth and the multiplication of a single cell of life into 8.7 million species and counting, with at least one of these species being self-aware and able to share in the divine gift of sacrificial love, even to an enemy. That's the matrix, the mothering, creating power of the universe. That's the cosmic Christ. All you have to do is study in detail any one of those millions of species, and we're amazed by the complexity and simplicity of its existence. I went to an aquarium down in New Mexico. They had the weirdest looking fish. And I realized that every one of those fish have a whole story just like I do, a whole evolutionary background just as I do, and they've evolved so distinctly and so precisely able to live in their environment. I don't know how one can truly look at the evolution of existence and see only chaos. The resurrected Christ is cosmic. Easter's everywhere. Can I hear you say that? Easter's everywhere. I grew up thinking that domination and competition were the primary tools of evolution, that survival of the fittest was the survival of the strongest and the most able to dominate. But as I mentioned last week, science has now discovered what Jesus taught, that the ability to cooperate and adapt is what makes us the fittest in the reign of God, and nothing is more adaptable and cooperative than love. The Gospel of John envisions the cosmic software of a life-seeking, diversity-creating, and love-evolving power. John calls it the eternal Word, existing from the Big Bang, from the beginning of time. He writes, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word, that matrix, that program was God, and was in God, and nothing was created without it. Easter is the program of life and love, what Christians call the living Christ. It's cosmic. It's a part of everything. It's everywhere. Look at the cosmic the universal way the resurrection is described in our story today. I don't know whether you caught the story. It's amazing. It's not just focused on Jesus rising. Listen to what it says. The curtain hanging in the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook. The rocks split apart. And the graves broke open. And God's people who had died were raised to life. Now, how cosmic is that? We're not talking about a single person rising. We're talking about the life that gives life to all of us and all the universe. Easter's not just about Jesus. Easter's always and everywhere. Easter includes us. And that reference to the curtain of the temple being torn in two refers to the temple that divided the holy leaders from the sinful people. And the writer puts it that that's torn in two because in Jesus, in God's matrix, in love, we discover we're all equal. We're all in this together along with our animal friends in the earth. We're all part of one organism. So the universe does not judge the way we judge. The cosmic Christ cannot be removed from us or hidden from us. There are no second-class people. We're all one family. We're all in it together. We're all eternal beings in a body. Matthew has the dead raised, not just Jesus. We're all a part of this matrix of existence. Paul too writes that the story of Adam and Eve, when humans became self-aware and learned to have the interdependence to make choices that sometimes lead to evil and death. Paul says, so in Christ the universe will find redemption. The universe. We will all find love in the end. Because love will find us all. That's the good news. It's about everything and everyone. Easter's everywhere. It includes everyone. What a great story. What a great reality. Resurrection and insurrection come from the same root word, meaning rising and change, except the resurrection doesn't include violence. This is the story of history. For despite all the evil humankind has done and the setbacks along the way, the arc of history moves toward greater respect and more human rights and peace. From the early commandments of our Jewish ancestors that didn't allow murder and that told farmers to leave crops in the field for those without food to eat, to the Cyrus cylinder of the Babylonian Empire, 539 BC, that proclaimed the rights of every religion and culture to worship and enjoy their own culture, to the creation of the Declaration of Independence, which cites that Babylonian cylinder, to the international courts of justice created after the Second World War, something that didn't occur to human beings before, holding dictators accountable. People are still being prosecuted for war crimes. Now if you're a dictator, you got to realize, someday I might end up in that international tribunal. To agreements that allow us to fly around the world without planes crashing into one another. To agreements that have redeemed the ozone layer and have repaired it and cleaned up the Great Lakes. Easter's everywhere. Let's hear it. Easter's everywhere. The cosmic Christ is on the move. There's less violence in the world today. In the pre-empire times, 125 people out of 100,000 died from wars. In Bible times, it was 50. During the last century, the 2 world wars, it was 5. And this century, 2 people out of 100,000 are dying from war. Since 1990, I want to tell you, this is going to blow your mind, because you just never hear this stuff. Since 1990, the number of human beings living in extreme poverty, defined as $2 a day, has declined by 2/3. 2/3. I mean, it's almost hard to believe, isn't it? Hundreds of millions of people have been lifted to an income of $10 to $20 a day. Easter's on the move, taking random upheavals of the earth's crust and making continents out of them, turning the desolation of forest fires into new growth, working through dedicated researchers to alleviate suffering and prolong physical life. Easter is everywhere. Let's hear it. Easter is everywhere. And those of us who've been around the block a few times, we know this personally. We know this from experience. We have our own Easter stories of new life. We look back and see how Easter has blessed us. Some of us were addicts. Some of us were hurt by addicts. Some of us have lost those who were nearest and dearest to us, and we didn't think we'd ever get through it. But the risen Christ has somehow used the kindness we've been shown and the kindness we've been able to give to break through into our lives and bring new life and give us a life we never thought possible. Grace has come to us. Joy has surprised us. At our weakest, most vulnerable moments, faith, hope, and love have found us. We think of the words of that familiar song, though through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. That's Easter. That's that cosmic gift. Some are here today, and you're still on the cross in some way in your life. There is a burden that is deep. There is a hurt that is deep. And so we come together to hold the faith for each other. We come to hold out hope to each other. We come to love each other through the darkness into light and into life. That's what Christ is up to here today. That's why we light this candle, to remind us that together we'll get there. And for those who never made it, for those who got so stuck in their pain and anger and depression that they took their life, or they took someone else's life, the universe has not washed its hands of them. The universe is not through with them either. The cosmic Christ releases people from death and the grave and redeems and makes new. No oppression, no grave, no despair, no evil actor can withstand the power of Easter and the love of the cosmic Christ in whom we live, move, and have our being. The earth shook, the rocks split apart, the graves broke open, and God's people who had died were raised to life. Thanks be to God.